In modern-day football, players like Ronaldo, age 37, Buffon, age 44, Modric, age 37, and Thiago Silva, age 38, are still playing at the highest level despite their relatively old age. But not all players are that lucky. Let's have a look at 10 players that retired too early. Number 10. Just Fontaine, the French-Moroccan striker who once scored 13 goals in one World Cup, a record which will never be broken, retired just 4 years later at the age of 28.
Fontaine scored 165 goals in 200 matches in the highest French division for Nice and Stade Reims.
He also took part in the team that got to the 1958-59 European Cup final against Real Madrid, being that season's top scorer with 10 goals. Unfortunately, in 1960, Fontaine broke his leg twice. He was forced to retire at just 28, finishing his international career with an incredible record of 30 goals in 21 appearances for the French national team. His strike rate of 1.43 goals per game remains the highest of anybody with 30 international goals. Number 9. Sergio Aguero.
Aguero began his career at the Argentine club Independiente, where, on the 5th of July 2003, he became the youngest player to play in the Argentine Primera División at 15 years of age.
After 3 years, he moved to Atletico Madrid, where he developed himself as one of the most dangerous players in Europe. In 2011, he moved to Manchester City, where he became an absolute icon, winning multiple Premier Leagues with the Citizens. His most memorable moment came in 2012 when he scored the winning goal on the last match day against Queen's Park Rangers to clinch Man City in their first Premier League title. After 10 years in the Premier League, Aguero left on a free, but on the 30th of October 2021, his career took a dark twist.
Aguero got dizzy and felt a pain in his chest in a home game against Alavés.
The Argentinian was immediately substituted. He was then taken to the hospital with chest discomfort, which later got diagnosed as cardiac arrhythmia. 2 months later, Aguero was forced to end his career due to his health problems. He retired at age 33. Number 8. Enoch Mwepu. Enoch Mwepu started his career in Zimbabwe until he joined Red Bull Salzburg in 2017, where he established himself among Salzburg's starting 11, including players like Erling Braut Haaland and Takumi Minamino.
In the summer of 2021, his performances earned him a transfer to Premier League club Brighton and Hove Albion. While he struggled with injuries in his first season, he slowly became a starting player for the rising Premier League club, but on the 10th of October 2022, Mwepu retired from professional football at the age of 24 after being diagnosed with a rare hereditary heart condition. The Zambian fell ill while on a flight with the national team. He returned to England to undergo further cardiac tests and was advised to stop playing football. A boy from a small Zambian township called Chambishi has news to share. He stood strong to follow his dreams of playing football at the highest level, and by grace of God, he lived his dream by reaching the Premier League, he tweeted. Some dreams, however, have an end. So it's with sadness that I announce that I need to hang up my boots because of the medical advice I've received. Number 7. Andre Schurrle. The man who once gave the winning assist in the 2014 World Cup final hung up his boots at just 29 years old.
After joining Borussia Dortmund from VfL Wolfsburg for €30 million in 2016, Schurrle suffered from loneliness and depression. In conversation with Der Spiegel, Schurrle reveals that he was thinking about his decision for a long time. Despite tasting success with Bayer Leverkusen, Chelsea, Wolfsburg, and Borussia Dortmund, Schurrle touched upon the loneliness he felt when playing at the top of his game. Schurrle also revealed a number of personal sacrifices he made for the sake of his career, admitting that the depths became deeper as the highlights were less and less. Number 6. Ryan Mason. The English midfielder signed his first contract for Tottenham Hotspurs in 2008, where he was sent on a loan for 7 consecutive seasons. In the 2014-15 season, Mason slowly became a regular starter for Mauricio Pochettino's Spurs team and also made his debut for the England national team.
But after only 8 starts in the following season, Mason moved to Premier League club Hull City for a record fee of £13 million in August 2016.
On January 22, 2017, in a Premier League match against Chelsea, Mason suffered a fractured skull that required surgery after a clash of heads with defender Gary Cahill. Mason underwent a successful operation on the head injury, and throughout the rest of 2017 went through a rehabilitation process in an attempt to return to playing.
After the operation, he had 14 metal plates in his skull, with 28 screws holding them in place.
He also had 45 staples and a 6-inch scar across his head. On February 13, 2018, it was confirmed that due to risks of his injury, Ryan Mason was forced to end his playing career at just 27 years old. Number 5. Hidetoshi Nakata. Nakata began his footballing life at Japanese club Bellmare Hiratsuka. After his first of 3 World Cup Finals appearances in France in 1998, Nakata secured a move to Italian side Perugia, and quickly became a Japanese icon as he starred in Italian football. 3 years later, he earned a move to AS Roma, where he experienced the peak years of his career. Nakata was known as the Beckham of Asia. His crazy hairstyles and style of play had similarities with the English superstar. But after a man-of-the-match performance at the 2006 World Cup, he announced his retirement from football at age 29. Nakata later stated that he didn't enjoy football anymore. In an interview with TMW magazine, Nakata said, "Day after day, I realized that football had just become a big business. I could feel the team was just playing for money and not for the sake of having fun. I always felt that a team was like a big family, but it stopped being like that. I was sad. That's why I stopped at only 29. Number 4. George Best. Pele once called him the greatest player in the world. George Best, the boy from Belfast, Ireland, had it all. The Northern Irish football player retired from professional football for the first time at the age of 26. He had been the top scorer at Manchester United for the 3rd consecutive season and won the league title twice. Manchester United manager Tommy Docherty persuaded him to come back, but in 1974 he retired for good after making 470 appearances with Man United in total. George Best enjoyed drinking and women more than the life on the football pitch. Number 3. Eric Cantona. The King of Manchester has had an impressive career, but the Frenchman didn't have a fairy tale ending to it. Eric Cantona was 30 years old when he announced that he will retire from football. The 1996-97 was the last season that he ever played professional football. The reason of his retirement, the Frenchman claimed in an interview a few years back that he announced his shocking decision to retire from football in 1997 because he had no passion left for the game. "I didn't feel passion for the game. To play at the highest level, you have to be very careful about what you eat, what you drink, what time you go to bed, and what you think. You have to be concentrated on the game." Number 2. Adriano. In the early 2000s, Adriano Ribeiro was on the top of the world. The Brazilian striker had a dangerous combination of blistering pace, startling power, nimble footwork, thunderous shooting. After a good spell at Parma, he earned a big money move to Inter, where he seemed destined to become one of the biggest stars in the game. But despite the Nerazzurri winning 4 Series A titles during Adriano's stay there, he didn't live up to expectations. At his peak, the Emperor scored 7 on the way to winning the Golden Boot during his country's Copa America triumph in 2004. But just 9 days later, Adriano's father, Almir Leite Ribeiro, passed away, and the forward has admitted the news sent his career spiraling. He later told in an interview, "After that day, my love for football was never the same. He loved the game, so I loved the game. It was that simple. I got so depressed, man. I started drinking a lot. I didn't really want to train. It had nothing to do with Inter. I just wanted to go home." His alcohol problems and depression later became a fatal factor in his decision to end his career at age 27. Number 1. Marco van Basten. Van Basten started his career at Ajax, winning 3 Eredivisie titles and 3 KNVB Cups, to go along with the Cup Winners' Cup. The forward's greatest success arguably came in Italy. At the time of his arrival in Milan, Serie A was the world's strongest football league. Together with fellow Dutchmen's Frank Rijkaard and Ruud Gullit, he lifted 3 Ballon d'Or awards between 1988 and 1992, as well as a FIFA World Player of the Year award. The 1991-92 Serie A season was Van Basten's best in the final third. He scored 25 goals in 31 games. But the following season, everything changed. Van Basten injured his right ankle, which kept him sidelined for 5 months. He was allowed to make his comeback in the Champions League final against Olympique Marseille, but again suffered from his ankle. After 2 years of struggling to recover, Van Basten decided to retire at age 31, having played his last match at age 28.